Hello and welcome to Skyvia Data Integration Tutorials. Today's topic is lookup mapping. Lookup is data transformation feature that helps to retrieve data based on specific conditions. In Skyvia, the lookup feature is available as a mapping type in import and synchronization integrations and as a separate component in data flow integration. Learn more about the data flow lookup component in a separate video. Lookup fetches values for mapping in any available source or target objects based on specific conditions. There are several cases when lookup mapping is the most helpful. When there is no value for mapping in the source object, to define specific records for update, delete, and upsert operations, and for loading related data when the parent object records already exist in target. Lookup mapping works the following way. Skyvia queries a lookup object for every source record and checks if the lookup key matches the specified condition. If Skyvia finds a matching record, it maps the needed field value to the target field. Skyvia supports two types of lookup mapping, source and target lookup. Source lookup retrieves a value from a record in the source object, while target lookup retrieves a value from a record in the target object. To enable lookup mapping, select Target or Source Lookup on the Mapping Definition tab in your integration and assign values to lookup settings. Lookup object is a source or target object where the search is performed. Result column is a field in the lookup object that contains the desired value. Lookup key column is a field in the lookup object, based on which the needed value is retrieved. You can use more than one lookup key or lookup condition. In this case, lookup returns values that match all of the conditions. Lookup condition is a value in a source that is compared with the lookup key. There are several conditions available. Use column condition to compare the lookup key field with a source field. Use constant condition to compare all lookup key values with a single constant value. Use source lookup and target lookup conditions to retrieve a value for the lookup key from another object in the source or target. Use when there is no field in the source object to be compared with the lookup key. Lookup can behave differently depending on the situation. For example, it may find nothing or fetch multiple results. You define its behavior using lookup options. Set them separately for each lookup mapping in an integration. The Use Cache option determines whether to use a lookup cache. When you select this option, Skyvia queries the lookup object and loads the result into a cache. During the integration run, Skyvia queries this cache for every source record and checks if the lookup key matches the specified condition. It helps to save API calls and increase performance if the data source contains millions of records or API doesn't support filters for some objects. Set Null when no match is found option determines what to do if there is no match for the lookup condition. If enabled, Skyvia assigns null to mapped fields. If disabled, the record fails. This option is helpful for the upsert operation. When lookup finds no match, Skyvia will insert a new record. If lookup finds a match, Skyvia will update the existing record. Use the first match when multiple results option determines what to do when lookup finds multiple rows matching the specified lookup conditions. If enabled, Skyvia maps the first matching value to the target field. If disabled, the record fails. Case-insensitive lookup option enables case-insensitive comparison for string values. By default, lookup performs case-sensitive comparisons. Now, let's check several examples. The first example demonstrates how the simple lookup fetches the unknown value from another object in target. We import a list of contacts from a CSV file into Salesforce and assign them to existing Salesforce accounts. To do that, we must provide the account ID related to each contact. The column mapping won't help because the source file doesn't contain the Salesforce account IDs. However, it contains company names that match the account names in Salesforce. We use Lookup to fetch the absent account ID values by comparing account names in Salesforce and company names in the CSV file. Select Target Lookup for the account ID field. Account ID is a foreign key field that associates the contact object with the account object. For such fields, Skyvia sets the lookup object and result column values automatically. Select the account name field as the lookup key column. Choose column condition. Select the column in the source file with which the lookup will compare the lookup key. In our case, it is the company field. We will leave the lookup options in the default state. As a result, we built Lookup, which retrieves the unknown account ID value from another object in target. Another example will demonstrate how to use Lookup by a constant. Let's insert product prices from the CSV file into the Salesforce standard price book. The Salesforce Pricebook Entry object requires mapping the Pricebook ID. If you don't know the ID of the desired pricebook, you can use Lookup to retrieve it by its name. The Lookup will compare the pricebook name in Salesforce with the provided name and map its ID to all imported records. We select the target lookup for the Pricebook ID field. Pricebook ID is a foreign key field associating the Pricebook Entry object with the Pricebook object. For such fields, Skyvia sets the lookup object and result column values automatically. In other cases, we select them manually. Select the Pricebook name field as the lookup key column. Choose constant mapping. Specify the Pricebook name with which lookup will compare the lookup key. As a result, we built the lookup, which gets the unknown ID of the pricebook knowing its name. The next example shows how to get the needed value using multiple lookup keys. Let's update product prices that belong to the Salesforce standard pricebook. We don't know the IDs of records to update. We only have a pricebook ID and a list of product names and their prices. We can't identify the records to update only by product name because the same product may belong to multiple pricebooks, but we can identify them by Pricebook Entry ID and Pricebook ID. We use Lookup with a composite key to perform such an update. This lookup will get the Pricebook Entry ID values using two lookup keys with separate conditions. Select Target Lookup for the ID field. Select Pricebook Entry as the lookup object and ID as the result column. Select the Pricebook Entry name field as the lookup key column and choose column mapping. Specify the column with which lookup will compare the lookup key. This column is named in this example. Below, click Add Lookup Key and select the Pricebook ID field. Choose Constant Mapping and specify the ID of the needed pricebook. Our lookup with composite key is ready. It retrieved values for mapping using two separate conditions. Another example demonstrates retrieving a value for mapping using a two-level lookup. Let's import data from Zoho CRM to Salesforce. We already have Zoho CRM accounts in Salesforce. Now we import Zoho CRM contacts, preserving their relations with accounts in Salesforce. The Account ID field in Salesforce Contact Object stores the reference to the parent account. We can't map account ID by column because account IDs differ in Salesforce and Zoho CRM. We can use Lookup to compare account names in Salesforce and Zoho and get Salesforce account IDs for matching records. But there is a problem. We can't use the column or constant conditions because Zoho CRM Contacts object doesn't store the account names. It stores only the IDs of the related accounts. Thus, we can use the source lookup condition to compare account IDs between Zoho CRM contacts and related accounts, and retrieve account names. Then, Lookup compares the fetched names with account names in Salesforce and assigns their IDs to the Account ID field of the target contacts. On the Source Definition tab, we select the relation that will be used by Lookup. For this example, we use Contacts Account Relation. On the Mapping Definition tab, we select Target Lookup for the Account ID field. Then we select Account as the lookup object and select the ID as result column. We choose Name as the lookup key column and select the source lookup mapping to get the corresponding account names from Zoho CRM accounts. Select the Accounts object as the lookup object and the account name as the result column. Select ID as the lookup key column and choose Account in the bottom drop-down list. Our two-level lookup is ready. It fetches a value for a lookup key and then retrieves a value for mapping. The last example shows how to use Lookup to import complex structured data. We import a list of products from a database to Shopify. We store the list of products in the products table, and their variants are stored in the product variants table. Each product variants record refers to the product it belongs to by the product ID column. In Shopify, the products and variants are stored in a single products object. The variants field has a complex structure and stores a nested array of records. To assign mapping to the fields of the nested object, we use Lookup. In this case, source lookup compares the lookup key with the field in another source object and returns all the matching records in array format. Then you can map the fields of this array to the nested fields of the target object. Such a lookup fetches the array of records for mapping to the nested objects of the target field. It compares the product IDs and product variants with product IDs and products. It retrieves all the matching records at once and transforms the result into the required data structure. To implement this case, enable the Nested Objects checkbox in the Import integration and add an import task. Set Debo products as source and products as target. On the Mapping Definition tab, select Source Lookup for the variance field. Select Product Variance as the lookup object. Choose Product ID as the lookup key column and select the column mapping. Select the ID field to compare with the lookup key and complete the nested fields mapping. As a result, we have a new record in Shopify products with variance fetched from another table with a different complex structure. As you can see, lookup mapping lets you use different advanced integration scenarios. We hope this tutorial helped you understand how to use lookup mapping. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.